nobody wins when the family feels.
17-year-old is in jail in connection to a shooting of a 14-year-old. Micah Marshall is charged with one felony count of first-degree murder. This is for a shooting in North Austin at the Bridge at Harris Ridge Apartments. Neighbors called 911 after hearing gunshots. When officers arrived, they found a 14-year-old girl who had been shot. She was taken to the hospital where she later died. If you know anything about this case, you're asked to call the Austin Police Homicide Unit.
Does your mom make? No, you're not going to get a personal bond on a murder case. Out of the question. No, it's going to be way higher than $35,000. What kind of money does your, besides your mom, who else is available in order to postpone?
Climbing on the back of my truck or whatever, and on their way back into the house, just messing around. And I was inside. All I remember is I just started hearing like shot after shot after shot. And initially, I dropped down to the ground. Like, it was so loud. Like, I thought it was like right at my window. And I dropped down to the floor and I immediately got back up and I'm like, wait a minute, my babies are outside.
Imagine at 17 years old, you facing a capital M1 case. You threw your life away. But on top of that, not only did you throw your life away, but you took a life of an innocent young girl, a 14-year-old. You threw your life away and didn't even hit your target. Word on the street since day one was that you did it. So if you think the street's saying that, authority's saying that, but you don't get arrested. Not for a week, not for 2 weeks, not for a month, but almost 2 months later. But you got the nerve to still be on social media. In fact, this message is floating around that you laughing at the victim, the person you allegedly held responsible for taking her life. You're a good kid, mother and father in the same house, got a job, no worries at all. Now, you worried about trying to get a bond, seeing if your family can put up their house as collateral for an M1 case? I know you don't know the severity of your actions. Big dog, it's too late. At this point, tax-paying citizens don't care how old you are. 17, 71, don't matter. You took the life of a young woman. You took the life of a child, of a sister, of a daughter. Not even your target. But that's what we have here, family. Another teenager who had it so good, he didn't know the severity of his actions. Now in that one mistake, threw his life away. And as we mentioned, he facing a capital M1. Age 10 to 15 is an adolescence. That's an automatic capital M. People don't get it, and I hope none of us got to be in this situation. They saying it's more than one person that was allegedly involved. This 17-year-old, the only one arrested thus far. Now tell me this, if you got evidence that you done it, there's 3 more people involved, you facing a capital M1. They tell you, hey man, in order not for your life to be taken, give us the names and spend the rest of your life in prison. If not, risk facing execution and trial. But those are your only 2 options. At 17 years and based on this bond hearing alone that you'll later see as well, family, safe to say, chances are he gonna tell it all. So before we break this one down and have the privilege to speak to the victim's mother, remember, I don't give you no angle. I just give you the story. So with that being said, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And we're gonna jump right to it. Family, today we're going to Austin, Texas. APD, Austin Police Department, they officers had arrested a young man, Tuesday, in connection to a June 6th shooting in North Austin. 17-year-old Micah Marshall was charged with one felony count of first-degree M. Now, according to APD, the shooting occurred at around 1:30 a.m. at the Bridge at Harris Ridge Apartments, which is located in the 1500 block of East Howard Lane. 911 callers had called in and reports the multiple gunshots. Now, when this incident first happened, the mother had reached out, but we didn't do an interview. No one was arrested. She didn't know much neither. But since then, it's been a lot of moving pieces. And like we said, almost 2 months later, we finally get arrested. Now before we play the interview, I want you guys to see his demeanor, as you won't be able to hear him much, but you will be able to hear the judge, Micah that is, on his first court appearance for his bond hearing. Check it out.
You are charged with a first-degree felony capital murder. Got a couple of questions for you. Are you working right now? You got any money saved up to help bond out? It's going to be high. What kind of money? What kind of money are you working with? Well, what kind of money does your mom make? No, you're not going to get a personal bond on a murder case. Out of the question. No, it's going to be way higher than 35,000. What kind of money does your besides your mom? Who else is available in order to postpone? What's that? And what does he do for a living? Okay. You live with your mom? Both of them. They're still together. Okay. And do they own a house? They're renting. All right. What other family you have in the Austin area? Okay. She own a house? She's still alive? Yeah. Do you have other family outside of Austin? Bond amount set at $1 million. Now, if somebody, in terms of bonding out, bail bondsman often charge around 10%, which would be $100,000. Technically, I have the discretion to deny bond altogether under the circumstances based upon my understanding of the allegations involved and everything. I'm going to go ahead and set bond to enable you to bond out, but it is high, and I know it's high. I recognize that. It's quite a bit of money. However, this is also a very serious allegation with very serious consequences. And under the circumstances, I think $1 million is appropriate. Now, I sense your surprise on that, and I get it. You can talk to your lawyer. Your lawyer can ask for a bond reduction hearing in front of the district judge, put on evidence, and try to make an argument that this is not a reasonable amount, and to try to argue for a lower bond. That's certainly something that can be addressed with the district judge. Under the circumstances, based on the information I have, I'm comfortable setting it at this time. Well, if you're going through a bail bondsman, they often charge around 10%, which in this case, 10% would be $100,000. Your lawyer, it's not about your lawyer. A bail bond company, if they're willing to do it for 10%, you'd be looking at they would need about $100,000. Now, the law does not require a bail bondsman to charge 10%. They could charge lower or higher. And it's up to you to find the cheapest bondsman you can find. It's a free market. So, your family can search around to see if they could find a bail bondsman that's not as expensive. That's something you guys can work out. Okay. Well, I have. I noticed. I noticed you have a very limited criminal history. I see that. I understand, and talk to your lawyer about it. And all those things can be addressed in a bond reduction hearing. I'm just telling you that based upon the allegations that I've read and under the circumstances, I think this is an appropriate bond amount. But you have a right to request an examining trial, to argue that there's no probable cause to charge you. Your lawyer would know what to do in that regard. And your lawyer would know what to do to try to seek a bond reduction, to argue that the bond's not reasonable under the circumstances. Under the circumstances, though, I do think this is appropriate at this time. Okay. As I mentioned, theoretically, I have the discretion to deny bond altogether if I feel it's appropriate. I'm not doing that in this case. I am setting a bond, but I do think it needs to be high. All right. If you do post bond and get out of jail, Mr. Marshall, first of all, you're required to report to a supervision officer while your case is pending. So you'll have a supervision officer assigned to Travis County Pretrial Services that you'll need to report to periodically. That's in addition to any reporting requirements you have with a bail bond company. Second of all, you're required to have a GPS monitor installed on your leg in jail before you're released so that the police know where you are at all times. You understand that? Thirdly, you're not allowed to possess any firearms while your case is pending under any conditions. Understood? All right. All right. Do you want a court-appointed attorney, or do you want to hire your own lawyer? You're going to hire your own lawyer? Okay. All right. I know that's a lot of information. Do you have any questions? It's a murder case. It's a murder case of allegedly a 14-year-old girl. In this case, what makes it capital is the allegation that the person that was killed was between 10 and 15 years old. That murder plus the age of the victim makes it capital. In this case, there are a number of ways in which it can go from a murder to a capital murder. The reason this is a capital murder is because essentially it's an adolescent that got killed, allegedly. Talk to your lawyer about that. Talk to your lawyer about that. Understand, and the allegations is that there's a dead adolescent and that you're being charged with causing that. Talk to your lawyer about it. And here's the thing: I know you have your side of the story, and that's something to discuss with your lawyer. I definitely cannot discuss that with you, so I don't want you to make any statements about the case. Talk to your lawyer about it. And again, your lawyer can seek a bond reduction, and your lawyer would know what to do to try to marshal the evidence and material to try to get to argue that this bond is too high. Okay. And you have the right to do that. And I think that's appropriate for your lawyer to seek that and to seek whatever redress they can on your behalf. Okay. But at this point and at this stage in the proceeding, I think this is an appropriate bond. It's between you and your bail bondsman. If your bail bondsman's willing to take that house as collateral and as payment, that's something to work out with the bail.
As you can see, he might have a long time in there, but nonetheless, we had a chance to sit down with the victim's mom. Now, apparently this is an ongoing thing in that apartment complex. Michaela wasn't living in this apartment complex for over 3 weeks before she was gunned down. May she rest in peace. I'm here with the Family TV. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking with today?
Tashina Guajardo.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Tashina Guajardo.
Okay. Thank you for coming to speak with us today. Of course, we're going to talk about the incident at hand. If people got this far, get to see the interview. Of course, they saw the introduction. It's an unfortunate situation we're about to highlight that involves your daughter this past summer. Once again, I want to thank you for joining and talking to us and highlighting the situation. And we're going to jump right to it. Is that okay?
Yes.
So I have about 10 questions for you. And I just want to say, first and foremost, could you tell us your daughter's name, and also please share a little bit about your daughter and what kind of person she was?
My daughter's name is Michaela Franklin, but we called her Peaches. She was funny, goofy, silly, outgoing. She loved interacting with people. Like, she was just like everybody in the apartment complex knew her. In her school, everyone. Like, she was very overprotective of her family, like me and her siblings and stuff like that. Like, she thought she was my mama. Like, that's how she was. Her principal spoke at the funeral, and she said the same thing, like, about the school. Like, she was like the little mini mom. So she was very mature for her age and so loving and affectionate with her family. She was a very sweet and smart girl. She was advanced, you know. She was just loving, like, she was full of love.
So family, she was a family girl.
Mm-hmm.
So she was 14, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What school did she go to, if you don't mind me asking?
That's middle school.
Okay. And just so the audience could be clear a little, where are you calling me from?
Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. Okay. So, the second question I have for you is the unfortunate situation that happened, right? If you could tell us the day, I know it happened in June, correct?
Yeah, June 6th.
June 6th. And if you could just tell us about the incident and what was your initial thoughts and emotions when you received the news?
So, it was about, like, I don't let my kids go nowhere, so they have to let everyone come here. So, it was about almost 1:30 in the morning, and she had a friend over and she was going to walk her to her Uber. Not Lyft, but Uber. Yeah, her Uber. So me, like, okay, y'all walk in a group, walk her downstairs and come back up. Okay, no big deal. You know, you think you send them in groups. So they walked their friend down to, which is four of my kids, walked their friend down to her Uber. And she got in the car. And as soon as the car drove off, they were like climbing on the back of my truck or whatever. And on their way back into the house, you know, just messing around. And I was inside. All I remember is I just started hearing like shot after shot after shot. And initially, I dropped down to the ground. Like, it was so loud. Like, I thought it was like right at my window. And I dropped down to the floor and I immediately got back up. And I'm like, wait a minute, you know, my babies are outside. And so, you know, me, my boyfriend, we run outside. There's still nothing but shots. I don't know where they're coming from exactly because they're so loud that it just sounds like they're right there. And as I'm running out, I see three of my kids, my two youngest boys, my 5-year-old, my 12-year-old, and then I see my 13-year-old daughter. My 12-year-old, he screams, "Mom, AJ's bleeding," which is my youngest, my 5-year-old. And so I start screaming, and he says, no, it's not my blood. It's Kaya's. So that's when I realized my fourth child, I'm looking around, I don't see her. So they're upstairs at this point. I'm running down. Mind you, they're still shooting. So I'm trying to go further down all the way. And, you know, my boyfriend grabbed me. He's like, no, they're still shooting. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I jerk away from them. And I run down there and I'm calling her name and I'm looking for her. But I can't find her. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, it was blood on my baby. So maybe she must be like hurt real bad or shot in the leg, the arm, something, you know, thinking something like that. And so I can't find her and she's not responding. I'm thinking maybe she's somewhere hiding, you know, because they're still shooting. So I run back upstairs and I'm asking my kids, where did y'all see her last? Where was she? Like, and my 13-year-old and my 12-year-old, they were stuck or like they couldn't even, but my 5-year-old, he said, she's on the back of the truck. I run back downstairs. By this time, the shooting stopped. So I'm going to the truck and I'm calling her name as I'm going. And by the time I make it and I look over the back and I found my daughter. She was just laying there and I was screaming her name and stuff like that, but she wasn't responding. Like, that's when I realized that she was shot. Like, I knew she was shot, but I had no idea where. And she was shot in her head. So, you know, immediately I'm freaking out and I'm screaming and I'm like, I just can't believe what I'm seeing. And my boyfriend, he comes and I kind of black out after asking somebody. I asked my other daughter for her phone or something. I remember being on the phone with 911 and I was just asking them, what can I do? How can I help her? You know, like, even though in my heart I didn't feel that it was much that I could do, she still had a faint pulse or whatever, but just seeing what I saw, I knew in my heart that, you know, she wasn't going to make it, but still, you know, naturally you want to help your child. You don't want that to be. So I remember that, and then I don't remember some time in between. I just remember the next thing I remember is I was on the ground. I was getting up, and I kind of sat there, and I kicked back in like my baby has been shot. So I get back up, and I'm still trying to help and stuff, and it took 45 minutes. Now, they received a lot of calls because it was like the people in the next apartment complex could hear these across the way. They were so loud. I've never heard gunshots so loud. So the police officers get there, still no EMS. So they get there, and you know, one of the officers, he didn't even bother. It's like he was just like, I don't know. I guess maybe he thought that it was a lost cause or what. But the second officer, and I wish I could find out who that man was, because even though she didn't make it, I still would like to tell him thank you, because he really, really, he must be a dad. He really wanted my daughter to make it. He started CPR because on the between the time that it took them to get there, we lost. It was a faint pulse, and then we lost it. We couldn't find it. We were freaking out. But he didn't say it was a lost cause. He was trying his best. Like, it took a lot of time, but he resuscitated my baby. He resuscitated her. That was another one of the moments where I kind of blacked out. And I later found out from my boyfriend and my kids that when he resuscitated her, she made a loud gasp, and then she let out a cry. And, so, because they had pulled out a body bag. That really sent me into so that's why I don't remember. So I'm like, oh my God, it's just like so much was happening so fast, and I was not ready. But they put it up because he resuscitated her, and eventually the EMS got there, and I was so frustrated with them because they still didn't grab her right away and go. I just didn't understand what the holdup was. We live near a hospital, and they took her all the way across town. I guess because they have a trauma unit over there, but I just feel like, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, so I guess they did what they were supposed to do, trained to do. So they had shot up from the back of the apartments all the way around, because it's one way in, one way out. So the whole thing was a crime scene. So she was on the back of our truck, so of course I couldn't get to the hospital that way. That's a crime scene. And my neighbors and stuff, they start saying, I could take you. Nobody could go because the whole apartment complex down there, the whole parking lot, so it was a crime scene. It was shell casings and stuff everywhere. So
I did want to ask, did you know how many shots that it was? That you heard?
It had to be at least 30.
30? Wow.
At least 30. But it probably was more than that, because for some time, like after, like my mom instincts kicked in, I stopped hearing shots. I didn't hear them anymore, even though they were still shooting, because I was trying to get to my kids. Like, I didn't care. I knew that they were shooting, but I just it was like tunnel vision. That's the only thing I cared about. Like, I didn't care about anything else. So yeah, it was like people be saying that, but now that's the first time I had tunnel vision. I just wanted to get to them. So, and whatever kind of gun it was, it was able to fire a lot nonstop without stopping. And it was a brief pause, and then it started back up. So I don't know if maybe they put a different clip in, or I don't know, but it was a lot of shots. It was a brief pause, and then it was a lot of shots again. It was a lot.
Right, and the reason I asked, because as of now, one person is arrested, and we're gonna let it get to that. So It seemed like more could possibly be involved. Would you think? Possibly. From
what I was told, there's multiple people.
Okay.
But and again, my 4 of my kids was down there, and some of them jumped out on feet. And my other daughter told me she's seen herself at least 3 people.
Wow.
It was multiple people. But I don't know if everybody was shooting or what, but right. It was definitely.
But before we continue, do you know how many times was your daughter shot?
She was hit twice. Once in her arm and in her head. I don't know which one came first. But she was holding my 5-year-old, because she sat up to get him. She was holding him. She sat up to get him.
I think she got shot.
So I don't know which shot came first, but I know that he had blood and stuff all over him.
When I came out there, the hole wasn't in the truck.
You said what?
When I came out there, the hole wasn't in the truck, and the hole had to hit the truck to get her arm.
Yeah, so I believe she got shot in the head first.
And so I wanted to ask, right? Would you know, any of the circumstances surrounding that incident, or why that area would be a targeted place? And I know, from my understanding, you or your kids don't even know the guy who we'll later talk about was arrested,
yeah.
correct?
never seen him before. Like, I don't know who he is. So I wouldn't even be able to tell you that. I just know things that I've heard or whatever. But I couldn't, like, when it comes to, like, see, like, if they showed me this person without saying, you know, what he's accused of doing or whatever, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I wouldn't have known anything because I've never seen him before. Like, and I know that my daughter don't know him because I know all her friends. I know, like, no, I don't know who he is, but, you know, from the things that I've heard, you know, because my daughter, it had nothing to do with her. Whoever did it, like, it had nothing to do with her. She didn't have any enemies. She didn't gangbang. She did nothing. Like, so it was something that was going on in the streets that didn't have anything to do with her. And she just ended up, I guess, being like a casualty of war.
Right, because from my understanding also, what part of Texas you said you guys was in again?
We're in Austin.
Austin.
And we're not from here.
Right. Okay, y'all not from there. So, yeah, okay. So, in Austin, allegedly, they go by a zip code. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is 78753.
Okay. And so, that could possibly be a motive, correct? A feud with someone else? Yeah,
because it's like, it's been like a lot of back and forth down here. Like, it'll be a certain side of town, like the east side or something, which is like maybe 78723 or 224. It'll be some shootings over there, and then bam, it'll be back over here. Like, basically, like, back and forth.
Retaliation. So this is a frequent occurrence in that.
Yeah, like, it had started being like every other day or every few days, there'll be a shooting over here in these apartments in particular. Like, we moved in on May 17th. This happened June 6th. So we hadn't even been here long. And I was already worried because it had been, like, happening, you know, and then it was like...
So you wasn't there a month?
A day or two before my daughter, it was like a switch. Somebody got shot with a switch over here. So I was like, wait a minute, like, you know.
Is that considered the west side?
I think we're north.
North. And the bridge at Harris Bridge is the community. Mm-hmm. Okay. Wow. So basically, as far as the circumstances surrounding, you wouldn't know until further information is.
Yeah, like once they start,
right,
you know, going deeper into the stuff, that's when I'll find out for certain, like what it's all about. But I know that we know that it had nothing to do with my Caleb. The detectives know that as well. She just happened to be outside, and, you know, like I said, we hadn't even been living here that long. And I guess whatever the beef was about, it was that bad that they felt they didn't care who they hit.
Wow. And so basically, your daughter was just at the wrong place at the wrong time.
She just wanted to walk her friend
to
her Uber because, you know, she shouldn't have to walk by herself. I wish I would have just got up and walked her out there. But that's all they were trying to do. I thought, you know, okay, well, I'm going to let them go in a group because, you know, that's what we was taught when we was younger. And it's right downstairs. So I didn't think anything of it. And in a matter of minutes, my entire life changed. Like, they left out the door at 1:30 to 1:31. And at 1:33, people were already calling 911.
Wow. So this happened middle of the night?
Mm-hmm.
About 1:30 a.m.?
Yep.
Okay. I have to ask, man. I know this is probably a little
Everybody's asked that. Why? It's summertime. They with their friends. I don't let my kids go nowhere like that. I always make their friends come to them. I just be feeling like it's safer like that. So she came over, but she couldn't stay the night. And you know how kids are. It's the summertime, so they staying up 14, 15, 16 or whatever. And she had to go home. She couldn't stay the night. So
Got it.
She was going home. You know, her Uber was here or whatever. During the summertime, my kids, I don't know why, they like to be up all night long.
I think that's all
kids. And then when school
kids.
time comes, I have to get them back on schedule.
Right.
So, yeah.
So I have to ask, how has this incident impacted your family and your community, and what kind of support you're receiving during this difficult time?
This has impacted me and my children, just my family in general, a part of me, majority of me, died with her. You know, like I feel incomplete. I feel like my life is over and nothing will ever be the same. I don't find joy, peace, or happiness in anything. And the moment that I feel like I find any kind of happiness or joy, if I'm smiling too much, I instantly feel guilty because why should I be, smiling or just, I feel guilty about just everything because my baby's not here to enjoy that. She's not here to smile. She's not, so nothing's going to ever be the same. And finding her the way that I did it's been 2 months. The first month, no matter how many pictures or videos I watched or the good memories that I have, no matter how much of that I tried to put in my head, all I could see was the way that I found her. Like when I would close my eyes, that's all I would see. Like, this has affected me. Whoever did, they took my life too. Because I'm never going to be the same. Nothing makes me happy. And I push for my kids, but my kids are traumatized too. Like, could you imagine? It's just, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, and just the entire community. Everyone's tired of it. Like the shootings here and all that. Everyone's tired of it. Like, we all just to a point for like, when it's going to stop? When it's going to stop? And as far as support, my biggest supporter is my mother. Like, she has been my rock. When this first happened, it's like I was here, but I checked out. I was here, but I wasn't here. Like, I couldn't even answer basic questions, like when they're asking me my name. It's like I was almost like a zombie or something. And my mom, she's been my support system, me and my kids. I haven't gotten like, a lot of people will tell me like, victim services, they'll help you with counseling, they'll help you with this, they'll help you with that. They reached out to me in the beginning. After that, nothing. I reached out to them finally like a month later because I've been going through so much like anxiety, depression, having breakdowns. No, I'll be fine 1 minute and 5 minutes later, like I'll be fine. And 5 minutes later, I'll be just emotional wreck. I don't even know if I'm coming or going. Like, I have so many different emotions. Like, I've never felt nothing like this in my life. Like, I literally will go from sad to like anger. Forget anger, rage. Like, I've been angry. We all have. Like, I used to really be like, oh, I got anger problems. No, I've never felt rage like I was feeling. And then I was like, why am I feeling that? I never heard of anybody feeling really angry. Like, I didn't know that was a part of grieving. Like, I felt weird because I didn't understand that feeling that I was feeling. But I would go from crying and being sad to like feeling so much rage and anger. But I found out here recently that that's a part of grieving. But, nobody talks about that. So I didn't know anything about it. I've never really dealt with something so close. Like, I've never been to a funeral a day in my life. My very first funeral was my daughter's, the one I had to plan for my child. That was my first funeral. So not only is the emotion new to me, I lost a close cousin, but nothing will ever compare to losing my child. Like, nothing. I don't wish that on my worst enemy. So it's already something hurtful to lose a child, but the way that I lost her, how violently I lost her, like, and seeing her that way, somebody didn't call me and say, hey, your daughter passed away or she's in the hospital. Nobody, that's not what happened. I saw her like that. And she was here for a long time just like that. And I didn't know what to do or how to help her. As a parent, that's what we're here for. But I didn't know what to do or how to help her. So I don't know. My mom, it affected my mom. I wouldn't dare call my mom now. I won't call. If I call her, even if it's 8, 9, 10, my mom would be so terrified to answer her phone. She'd be so scared to answer her phone because the way that it is over here in these apartments, she'd be so scared that it's gonna be more bad news. Like if I don't have to, I don't call her. Like if it's like late afternoon or nighttime because it gives my mom anxiety. I have panic attacks now, and they're severe, back to back, to where like I feel like my air is just like being taken away, like I'm suffocating. So my daughter, my son, they have nightmares. And even when I wake them up and I'm trying to let them know that it's okay, it's me, it's safe, it takes a very long time for them to grasp that. So imagine waking your child up and they're looking at you with this terrified look. Even once you got their eyes open and they look so afraid. And there's nothing you can do. Like, I'm always used to like, okay, what's the problem? I'm gonna find a solution. We're gonna fix this. Okay, mama got it. We're gonna do this. For the first time, I felt so helpless. I couldn't help Kayla. It was nothing that I could do. And then after, and still happening now, my kids are hurting. I'm seeing them hurting and I'm unable to fix it. I can't fix this. I can't make this better. Only time and, hopefully with therapy and stuff like that is going to make it better. And I'm hurting as well. So imagine trying to be strong when you barely even want to get out the bed. You don't want to be here no more, but you got to because you have other kids that, need you. It's affected me in ways that's going to be years to come. And I know I'll never get over this, but hopefully I can get therapy and the things that we need and we'll learn how to cope and deal with it,
Absolutely. So before I really dump into the next question, I would like to ask, what's your perspective like on gun violence or the firearms in the community, period?
Me personally, gun violence, okay, I understand it's real, but it's not the guns, it's the people. They need to stop being so easily accessed. Guns not killing people. A gun didn't kill my Kayla. A person pulled that trigger and killed my Kayla. So I'm not one of those people that's gonna blame it on the guns and all that stuff. No, I'm not gonna do that. Because people have the right to have a gun to defend themselves. It's not the guns, it's the people. And these kids are getting these guns and they don't even understand. Like, once you pull that trigger and you do that to somebody, ain't no way you can go back and change that. Like, this is not cartoons, it's not a game, it's not Grand Theft Auto. This is real life. These are people's lives. And you don't just take somebody's life. You literally, like, they didn't just take my daughter's life. They took mine. They took probably a piece of my kids with them. My 5-year-old was standing up when everybody else was scattering because he had an innocence. Like, he thought it was fireworks. So he's looking around for the fireworks. And my Kayla realized that. And she jumped up to get him. And she risked her life for her baby brother. She was always protective. And she was doing that in her last moments. But that innocence, he don't have anymore. Now, when a car, if I tell my kids, okay, let's go to the car. If I forget something and run back up or anything, that brief moment, like, even if I'm in the car, let a car ride by slow. He don't have that innocence anymore. Any cars ride by slow, my kid's reaction will break your heart. Let alone, nobody's hand better not be like hanging out the window or nothing. They're terrified. So that 5-year-old that 2 months ago would have thought it was fireworks or whatever. Now, if a car is riding by slow, he learned from that. That took his innocence. Because now if a car is going by slow, my baby's going to start ducking down on the ground in the car because he's trying to make sure he don't get shot because he's seen what happened with his sister. He don't have that innocence no more. My daughter, she panics. One time I ran upstairs to go get my bag, and I came back down, and all I heard was my engine revving up, like, vroom, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? A car had came by slowly more than once. She was trying to get them out of there because she was so scared. Like, she didn't know what was going to happen. In their minds, and my son, he wasn't even in the seat anymore. He was on the floor part of the car. Because in their minds, it was happening again.
Right.
So, the effect, we're going to be, living with this forever.
And as you elaborate and talk about these kids with firearms, you're well aware that it was a 17-year-old who was allegedly held responsible. They go by the name of Mike Marshall or Micah.
I was shocked when I found out that it was a 17-year-old. Because it's so cruel and it's messed up, and like, then the type of gun, like, that just threw me for a loop. Like, I don't know. When I found that out, I was like, it threw me for a loop. But at the same time, like, from the things that I'm also seeing and being told or whatever, that same 17-year-old is heartless, Don't realize what he took from us or what he did to us. So, being 17 or not, if he did do this, I don't have no sympathy for him, because he didn't have any sympathy for my Kayla. None. Or none of my other kids.
Right. And if the audience got to this point, I know they saw his court appearance. Did you get a chance to look at that? Because it speaks on the kids not knowing the severity of their charges. It seemed as if though he didn't understand how severe his charges was, asking for a low bond.
When I watched that, that's the very first thing that I said. I said, I don't know if he's not grasping. Like, you took a little girl's life that you didn't even know. She didn't know she did nothing to you. And you almost like wiped out damn near half of my family. Like, I have 4 kids out there. All those shots, I thank God. Like, at first I was so angry. I didn't want to hear nothing about God. Like, get out of my face with that. That's how I was at first. Because this is something so messed up. Like, I just felt like, how could you let this happen? But, that's in the beginning. Now, instead of having that mind frame, I'm thankful. I could have lost 4 of my kids. I have 6. I could have lost 4 out of my 6. And I'm just grateful that some of them survived. And I know they have a lot of trauma and stuff that we're going to have to forever deal with. But I'm okay with that. I'm just grateful that, I have them. But, yeah, it's a lot. He don't really understand what he did, what he took.
Yeah, he got a $1 million bond. It hasn't been posted yet. I doubt if it really get posted. Just hearing your, emotions, hearing how you felt afterwards, hearing how this took an emotional toll on you. I just want to wrap it up with one question and just saying, is there anything else you would like to share about your daughter and the incident and the experience to try to highlight, and just wrap it up with giving some good things about your daughter that you want to highlight?
I want to highlight the fact that my Kayla was so loving and so smart and so, like, I feel like if she had an option to do it all over again, this is how my baby's heart was, me knowing her. If she had to do it all over again, like, let's say she had a redo and they said, okay, you still gonna jump up and save him, or you gonna, she would do it. No questions asked. She would do it all over again. Her heart was that pure. Because she loved us. Like, she was young, but she was very smart, very intelligent, very mature. And we love each other. Like, I tell my kids all the time, we're all we got. And I feel like she would do it all over again. And she wouldn't regret anything. That's how pure her heart was. So at the end of the day, they took her away from us, but not forever, because she's gonna forever be in our hearts. And this might have traumatized us, and we're gonna have a lot of things that we're gonna have to deal with. And I know that, I'm aware of that. So that's why I'm trying to get, therapy and things like that in place to where it doesn't ruin us. But one thing I know for certain, I'm strong, my kids are strong, him and nobody else will ever be able to break us, and they'll never be able to break that bond. So we good. We're gonna be straight. So
Amen. Amen. As far as the ending results, what would you like to see? As far as the person who's held or people allegedly responsible, what would you like to see done? And just to ask yourself, for your sake, is there anything that your peers or someone can do to continue to help you grieve through this process?
so I haven't. First of all, I have a hard time asking for help. So I've been trying to break that down, because if it's ever going to be a time in my life where I need help, it's now, and I'm able to admit that. So I wanted to set up a GoFundMe or whatever to we still live in the same apartment complex. We're still here, and we had just moved in, so I'm trying to get out the lease and stuff. I plan on setting up a GoFundMe so that anybody that wants to help, that's my main thing, just getting away from here. It's traumatizing. The only way that I can get in and out of my apartment to go wherever I gotta go or come back, it's right there, the parking spot. Leaving at nighttime, man, when I say the anxiety and all that stuff that I feel, or my kids feel, just leaving out, period, they only are really, really anxious here. We can go somewhere else and be in a parking lot, and they can sit there and be fine. But being here, because we know what happens, last night, it was a shooting. The next night after my daughter died, it was a shooting. So we know that 9 times out of 10 here, if we leave out the door, we know what we're up against. I just want to be able to get away from here so we can at least start the process of trying to heal, because I don't feel like we'll be able to heal here. We're too on edge. It's too much. Every time you turn around, you're hearing gunshots. So as soon as I set that up, I'm gonna make sure that I give you the link,
yeah,
and
please.
Anybody that wants to help in any way, it's greatly appreciated.
Absolutely.
Or if somebody know some services that as far as counseling and stuff, if they could send it to you and you reach back out and give it to me or whatever, that would be greatly appreciated. We're just trying to get to a point to where we can learn how to cope with this and deal with this. Nobody prepares for something like this. So I'm human. I don't know how to go about this or what to do. Like I said, this was my first funeral, so I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm trying my best to get help and on the right start, right, to where my kids won't have to suffer severe. I want them to be able to heal correctly.
Absolutely. And far as the people that's held responsible, what would you like to see?
For one, I feel like everybody that was involved, I feel like everybody needs to, deal with the consequences, because everybody knew what the consequences were before they jumped in that car. And anytime you sign up for something, 17 is old enough to know right from wrong. You know what I'm saying? 16 is old enough to know right from wrong. So I feel like everybody should be held accountable for what they did. And honestly, if I had it my way, Michaela didn't have a choice of life and death. So they would get the same sentence that they gave my child.
And that's possibly on the line, because as you said, your daughter was 14 years old, and the ages 10 to 15 for a juvenile losing their life, that makes it automatically a capital murder, especially in the state of Texas. So,
or if not that, I don't know. Like I want to. If they don't end up getting capital punishment, they don't need to be released right away, because they're just going to do it again if they don't, because they already don't understand what they did. Like, it's no big deal to them. So if you let them out in 5-10 years, they're young. You think they're going to change their mind about things? No. I just hope that since we have to let the law take care of things and we have to go through this, I'm going to trust in them, and I hope that they do the right thing. Because a lot of times they fumble cases. But over my dead body, my Kayla will get justice. I'm going to make sure I'm at every court date. And I'm going to keep up with this, because she didn't deserve that. She didn't deserve it at all.
And we real too. And like I say, once again, rest in peace to my Kayla. We will stay in touch as this trial go. We will be in communication. Quite sure people gonna want to reach out and try to, talk to you. Maybe had similar experiences and support system.
Like from strangers. When I talked to you earlier, I was telling you how I was having an emotional morning and I was sad, and I didn't even know if I wanted to do the interview. And I went to a 7-Eleven. I went to an HEB, then I went to a 7-Eleven, because I just stay in the house,
Mm-hmm.
And two people, one person at the HEB remembered seeing me and my kids on the news or whatever for this, and talked to me or whatever. And it was nothing like too sad or negative or anything. It was just like, uplifting. And then I went to stop at the 7-Eleven right before I came home, and a stranger changed my entire day. When she first stopped me and was trying to get me to let my window down, I'm like, this lady wants some money. I'm not in the mood for this. What? And she started talking to me. And I listened to her. And I'm not friendly. Like, I'll be looking at people like, what do you want? But I listened to this lady. This lady changed my whole day around.
Wow.
And for me, that's crazy, because I've never experienced anything like that. And like I said, I'm not really too friendly. Like, I'd be like looking at people crazy. But this lady changed my day. And we talked. We sat there for a long time, about an hour at least, and talked. So that kind of support and just being uplifted like that, especially by strangers, it's crazy, because strangers in general have been so kind to us, and that helps a lot, man. Like, a lot of people know about what happened or whatever, but I didn't know how many people. Like, for some people, for me to go out and like, you're the mother of the little girl that, I'm like, yeah, how'd you know? I thought it was because my kids had wrote, long live Kayla and stuff on my car, but she hadn't even noticed that. It was an older lady. She just remembered my face, and she was like, I heard about what happened. I seen you on the news, and she talked to me for a long time, and it changed my entire day. So seeing me and giving me kind words, that I love it. Like, that lady changed my day, and I've never seen this lady before. So,
So hopefully we
when
can continue giving that good love.
Do other things,
right?
Like,
that good energy.
Able to say some kind words to somebody. Sometimes it helps. Like, I don't even think she realizes what she did.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just in her heart to talk to me, and she did that, and it really changed my entire day. I was having a bad day.
Wow. Hopefully she see this one day and get to know that she did a good service by helping you get through your day.
Numbers. That's how deep I
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
I'm not a friendly person, and I exchanged numbers with this lady and everything. So, yeah, she gonna know that because I was having a bad day. It was one of those days, and I'm still amazed. Like, a stranger turned my whole day around, and I've been upbeat ever since then.
Wow.
So.
Man, I thank you once again, man. And we're going to end this interview. Like I said, I thank you. I appreciate you coming by, taking the time to speak with me and share light on your daughter's situation.
Thank you for spreading awareness.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If there's anything I can do, please continue to reach out. And we'll stay in touch. And I thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
You have a good one.
You too. As we wrap it up, we do want to say, once again, rest in peace to Michaela. Love and condolences to her family. It's an unfortunate situation. Let me know how you guys feel about this one. As more developed, I'll keep you guys in the loop. Talk to me in the comments. Like, subscribe. I'll catch you guys on the next one.